Hey guys, how's it going? I'm the Duke of Italy, your favorite lo-fi rainy day music YouTuber. It's raining here, it's pouring, and it feels dismal outside. Well, maybe not to me, as I love the rain. I absolutely love it. It's been so cozy all day, even at work, super cozy. But to the average human being, it's super dismal. And what we're talking about today is extremely dismal as well, and it's also historically significant in the world of metal music. I would also imply in terms of music, because I think metal is great. So I just have to give it a little bit of oomph in terms of representation in the world. But it won't be super long because there aren't that many songs. But today we're talking about Candlemass's Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus. Simply sublime record. I seriously mean it is one of the most stunning pieces of doom metal, or any metal, you'll ever hear. It's up there with Dope Throne, for example, as just something that's just sort of untouchable. In the epic doom metal genre, there is not a single band that even touches Candlemass. If you look at Rate Your Music, the top rated epic doom metal albums, the first like three are all Candlemass albums. They're like the death of epic doom, except find me another epic doom metal band. Honestly, they don't even matter. But thinking about this review I was going to do today, I had a bit of a thought in these significant doom metal albums. And they are as the followings in terms of chapters. There are plenty after where I'm stopping, but not that many. I'm thinking it goes Black Sabbath self-titled for inventing it, Master of Reality for being the first real doom metal album, being traditional doom with hints of stoner doom, being crazy influential. Paranoid is great, it's just not as doomy. And then, honestly, skip 12 years to Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus, because what it takes is those horrid themes from Black Sabbath self-titled, and it takes the real consistent doom-laden elements with excellent dynamics as well, because Black Sabbath, they believed they were always rock, and it just doubles down. Every song on here is either fantastical or, for lack of a better term, doom-laden, and it just doubly as so as the Black Sabbath material. That being said, Black Sabbath was a time where you weren't standing on the shoulders of giants, and you could do a whole lot with a whole little. One example I like to use a lot when bringing up this idea is the Doors feeling so angry and energetic, yet in modern days you would think like hardcore or metalcore brings the real anger, but even then it kind of holds up. But if you want something truly defeated and doom-laden and fantastical, look no further than Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus, the debut of Candlemass. And we're going to start right off with their song Solitude, which starts with an iconic acoustic guitar riff and these awesome vocals layered with a set of harmony, and wow. These also very gothic synths that just sort of seep through under the door. Like, the atmosphere is so palpable just from the get-go. And the lyrics are crushingly depressive. The lyrics are crushingly depressing. If you didn't know, Solitude is about a guy just wanting to die by himself. It gets no more clear than that. It's like served on a silver platter. And then the electric distorted guitar comes in, absolutely bone-chilling. Just a super bendy and really dense riff. It sounds amazing. It holds up spectacularly today. And in terms of production of this album, one thing that is so specifically 80s are the drum mixing. Given that iconic reverb style of the 80s, you really can't even replicate it today. But that being said, as cheesy as that sound might seem in other projects, all of your new wave, all of your similar stuff, like think of Phil Collins, he probably does stuff like that sometimes. It's not quite gated reverb, but really airy sense of reverb. The atmosphere is so palpable despite it. The heaviness removes all doubt. And you get these really lonely and spectral sounding guitars, and the solo that comes in is filled with tapping, and it's just super shreddy, which on the top of this super slow dirge-like pace, it has a lot of room to just go crazy, and that's what it does. It goes hard. The vocals from Mr. Johan here are iconic. They're fantastic. And the final verse he does on the song is a different melody entirely. Instead of a bridge, he just changes the melody, which is so awesome. It feels very operatic. It clearly shows his strengths as a vocalist. And this goes into maybe my favorite song, kind of underrated, Demon's Gate, which starts with this spooky little 80s synth intro with distorted vocals and just really buzzy sci-fi synths until you get this plodding, misty, reverb-soaked drum groove that is just, it builds so much tension right off the bat. It's a very layered track that slowly unfolds. It is the longest track on the album at about 9 minutes, and I mean, just for the main verse part of the song, you know, the bass embellishments are really the star here. While you could easily compare this to like War Pigs by Black Sabbath being a much longer song that has a lot more rhythm section and a lot more groove oriented, you get a similar thing here at a slower pace and with bass that is just carving its way underneath everything. You get a huge, amazing verse, and the chorus just goes into this huge crushing ascent where he goes into the phrase Demon's Gate. He holds it out. The operatic style, so incredible here. It's got so much tension. It really just makes you twist your face in contortion, and just it's so stupidly heavy. And the instrumental is airtight as it just soars through all 9 minutes of this thing without a single second of doubt in the listener's mind. It's just so good. The bass and the drums really carve their way forward until you get this fantastic guitar solo. The double kicks are truly something I feel like only this genre of music and future genres of metal would do. Just the rhythmic embellishments being just these machine gun double kicks, even on such a slow tempo. It sounds fantastic. And then the riffs get layered and so much more complex. And I love how on the chorus of the whole thing, Johann, he jumps an octave, sounds great, and it doesn't even feel like 9 minutes. It honestly feels more like 5, the way it passes so logically. It is so heavy, it's so mystical, it's awesome. And this goes into a fan favorite known as Crystal Ball, which has a really quick intro, no nonsense at all. And you got these fantastic double kicks that basically transition the verses into the chorus and out of the chorus, and they sound fantastic. I mentioned the drumming before. The double kicks are really the star of the show on the kit, and they're so influential, and I don't think this level of skill has really been replicated. And it feels like the shortest track here, how it has no nonsense, which makes me think this really influences Plains of Golgotha by Electric Wizard, with the way it's almost like a poppy structure where it's like A, B, A, B until the expansive instrumental section that goes along the next several minutes. And then that's when the instrumental goes into something I would describe as proto-thrash metal. The way the chunky palm-muted riffing hits, it's so stupidly heavy, but the tempo speeds up to a ridiculous degree. I can see why Crystal Ball is such a fan favorite. It's so fast, it's so heavy when you least expect it. And as cheesy as a crystal ball might sound, think of the scene of Lord of the Rings Return of the King where Pippin pulls up the Palantir, because it is so doom-laden. And like what I love about this stuff, as it takes songs like The Wizard from Black Sabbath, you know, that's not a very doomy song. It's kind of heavy metal. You know, it helped birth heavy metal, but it takes these topics that don't sound that crazy, mainly Crystal Ball, and it's just so doom-laden. You feel like something is deeply wrong. It's a banger, in all honesty. And then it goes into the historically significant Black Stone Wielder. Hell of a title. It's got this really heavy chugged intro before a more speedy, straight heavy metal portion of the track, showing a lot of dynamics here that have not entirely been shown much. Crystal Ball had it a little bit, but here it's more fleshed out in a more logical and I guess less Dionysian. And the theme of this track is super weird. It's referencing like Roman history, and the doom-laden themes here are just apathetic in a really cool way. It really gives a lot more space to be entranced by the instrumental and less filled with like a crushing sense of defeat. It's a lot more abstract, and it's in a way that isn't as confusing as it is just mind melting. And as you approach the bridge, you get this utterly dismal and crushing 2-note riff. This is a song that is clearly so influential on stuff that would end up being death doom, funeral doom, maybe even some sludge metal. Probably not, as that's so much rooted in punk, but this song is just so heavy. It might be the heaviest song here. And this goes into Under the Oak, a song that seems not entirely super doom laden from just looking at it. I mean, all these other songs are so mystical, so what could this song hold? And the song kind of leads you in a totally different direction for the beginning, or at least appropriate to the title. It's a real retro mid-70s heavy metal riff, except its tempo and percussiveness is really, really heavy. It reminds me of like bits of Carcass, eventually what Pantera would do. Honestly, it could be a hardcore breakdown if it wasn't so intelligent. It's a song that literally depicts being condemned to hell, which has these incredibly gothic harmonies to the whole thing, which sound sublime. It makes the song have so much character. And the guitar solo in its minimalism shows so much life and breath to the whole thing. It's so shocking how it's able to do so much, even though it was doing crazy tapped stuff earlier and more noisy stuff. And here it's more minimalist. It's a little almost like throwing a tiny bit of post-punk in here. I mean, I'm not going to exaggerate so much. I mean, I kind of said maybe, but it definitely influenced stuff like Funeral Doom as it approaches the bridge and reaches the most crushing part of the album, potentially. It is so slow, so stupidly heavy. It's genuinely feels sluggish. It's like hard to breathe. Crazy dynamics all throughout. Definitely one of the top songs on the album. But honestly, all of these are bangers. Can't even complain. Can't even really compare them that much because they're just all that good. And this goes into the final song, A Sorcerer's Pledge, which after a song about being condemned to hell, how can you get much heavier? And it approaches the dynamics in a different way. It kind of goes back to Solitude with having more acoustic parts, more layers, more dynamics, which is saying a lot, as Under the Oak had a lot of that. It's just as long-winded and doomy as everything else with this seriously extended acoustic part. Like it's like 2 minutes of acoustic guitar until it reaches the most crushing, just apathetic riff. Except this time it is explicitly fast, crazy stuff. And then you reach a rhythm section where it's all super dense. It's a far more riffy track than the rest here. And it feels a lot less doomy, a bit more adventurous until the synths come in and cut the emotions down to just a filthy degree. It's sort of got the idea of having the last track be this progressive, more intricate instrumental track, maybe referencing Jack the Stripper off of the Paranoid, but it winds and winds into all these different directions. It sounds so interesting for the album. You know, clearly something a little more early on in the period of heavy metal, and yet the sound is just so pivotal. It's gothic and very, very different, but the overall aesthetic really stays true to this whole thing, you know? It, as much as it is kind of an early-ish heavy metal record, you know, barely in the 80s much, you know, I mean, heavy metal was still going in the direction of like faster and like speed metal. Thrash metal was like just beginning at this time, and we needed some real quality doom, and Candlemass brings the heat. That's why this album is based and red-pilled from Johann's vocals being so gothic and operatic, from the guitar, the lead guitar having the best solos you'll ever hear, and the bass just subtly carving its way through everything, and the double kicks. Can't get enough of them. It's really not that much to say, except that this is one of the most important metal albums in history. It's one that I'm trying to get a copy of myself on compact disc and potentially vinyl at some point if my appreciation for this thing even grows, which it probably will. But I hope you guys like it just as much as I do. If you don't, how come? Comment down below. If you like it, don't like it, have a favorite Candlemass song or album. If you have a favorite Candlemass vocalist, because that's a pretty divisive subject. If you have a favorite doom metal album, do you like doom metal? If not, why are you watching this video? Because I couldn't tell you that myself. I'm not in your head. But I would appreciate like and subscribe whether or not you even like this video. But if you did like this video, that's all the more reason to. Comments, questions, or concerns, other than the things I just stated, down below, please and thank you. And also down below in the description section, you'll find my Instagram, my Twitter, my Discord, and I would love to have you guys join any of those, particularly my Discord, where we're talking about all sorts of things. Other than that, that's about it. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.